Hello, I'm Steve Combs, and this is the News Guardian Report, podcast number 2. Today I'm sitting here with my producer, and we're going to be talking about writing in college and kick some ideas around.
All right. Now, Steve, I know that you've written a lot recently about writing in college, and especially about freshman composition. What's all the fuss about, and who cares?
Well, the 3.1 million new freshmen entering college this year. My friend John McGuire, who used to be editor of Newsweek magazine's College Writing Guide, which he still publishes, recently said that 3.1 million students, and this is the number he came up with, would fill 44 NFL football stadiums.
It's a lot of stadiums.
That's a lot of stadiums and a lot of people. So you've got all these young kids coming out of high school, starting college, and almost every one of them has to take a course in first-year composition or freshman composition. The problem is freshman composition doesn't work. In fact, it's a national embarrassment.
How can we fix this?
Well, we can fix it a couple of different ways. First of all, let's talk about why it doesn't work. Most freshmen start college unprepared to write at the college level, and this is by wide agreement. I've written a lot about this recently, and professors I've talked to from all around the country all agree that no, we're getting these kids out of high school who are not prepared to write, and a lot of the reason for that is they never wrote much in high school, and their teachers weren't required to write much in high school, so they get to college and this thing just repeats itself. That's one of the problems. The other problem is that increasingly the college freshman writing courses have been taken over by professors who use the courses to indoctrinate their students in their own, that is the professor's own political ideology. And so rather than have a class whose only purpose, as the linguist Stanley Fish has said, is to teach grammar and rhetoric and nothing else, these classes have turned into social justice cause forums for whatever and it doesn't matter what the ideology is. It doesn't matter whether it's from the right or the left or from whatever. Professors are using the course to propagandize. And when this is what happens. When you have, we could get into this a little bit if you want to, when you are asking students to write about things that are causes, let's take controversial issues like the death penalty and gay marriage and drug legalization, those kind of things. When you have students write about those things when they come to you not really ready to write at the college level, you're sucking all of the energy out of that room that should be used in helping them learn how to write correct sentences, grammatically correct sentences, and then weave those sentences into good paragraphs, and then weave those paragraphs into solid, structured essays. But this is what happens. And I've seen, in fact, I used to do it. I used to allow students to write their course papers, like their final paper, on any subject they would want to pick. Well, guess what happens? Most of the time, they choose the subjects on which they already have a very strong, sometimes rigid opinion that is not going to change no matter how much research you make them do. And so if they are against the death penalty, when they start this research project, they're going to be against the death penalty when they finish it. I guarantee it. Because they haven't learned good research methods. They don't realize that the purpose of doing like a research paper is to learn how to do good research. And what you're doing, and this should not only be writing classes, but all of college, what they should be doing is going on a little journey. I'm going to go on a journey, and my thesis is that just pick anything. Say the causes of global warming. that's a hot one.
Right.
Okay, that's what people like to write about. Of course, they know nothing about it, nothing. But so they go out to write a paper about that, and so they start doing research, and they find out that this is not a simple matter; it's a very complicated matter, and that scientists don't even understand it for the most part. So they get in and they're researching, and they think that let's say they start off by saying that global warming, and I don't want to get into politics. Global warming is caused by X. Okay, that's the cause of it. And so they start doing research, and they do really good research, academic research, and they find out, no, maybe not. You know, maybe global warming is caused by Y, or maybe we don't know what causes it. And so that's the purpose of it, to go on this little journey, not knowing where it's going to end up. Being open, having an open mind, being open to the possibility that your original thesis was incorrect. And that's what I always do when I write a newspaper article. I do it with that attitude.
Right.
And so the problem when you're writing about gun control and gay marriage and stem cell research and late-term abortions and this kind of stuff is that most students already have an opinion. And getting into the second part, the taking over of this teaching by professors who have an ideology, you might not do well in that course if you are making an argument that disagrees with the professor.
Yeah.
And it should never be that way.
Never.
Professors should not care what your opinion is on anything. The professor should only care about, can you prove what you're saying with evidence that you've gotten from your research, and that's not going on. And we are just ignoring the whole purpose of the academy, which is the inquiry into truth. Instead, our students are, and I'm not saying all of them are this way. But nobody really knows the extent of it. But instead, students are going into classes, and the professors are saying, this is true, this is true, this is true because I say it. And that's the kind of stuff they hear in high school. And students in high school are typically discouraged from arguing with the teacher. And then we get them to college, and we say, no, we want you to argue with us, or at least I do as a classroom teacher. That's what I want.
And you're not conditioned to do that.
I want it. That's right. And it takes about half the semester to get them to open up because they're afraid. Well, in high school I got sent to detention. I've had students tell me that when they challenged the teacher, they got sent to detention. Can you believe that?
Unbelievable.
So that's this is real kind of a quick and dirty discussion of it. There's a lot more to it, but I think the thing to students say, okay, so what? Now you've warned me, but what can I do about it? Well, they need to do due diligence, and this is a lot easier done in theory than it's done in practice, and that is to find out about that class. See if you can get a hold of the syllabus. In Texas, for example, state universities and colleges are required to post the course syllabus of every course on the internet, and so that's where I did some of my research. So you can go in there and look.
That's wonderful.
And see what's going on in that class, and don't just sign up for some class because somebody told you. Because if you get in there and you got some angry professor who is out to save the world and not teach grammar and rhetoric, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. And it's not it's going to follow you when you get into economics and history, when you have to write papers for those classes. And it's unbelievable the number of college students who can't tell the subject of a sentence from an object or a verb. And they should have learned this in about fifth grade. I'm going to guess fourth or fifth grade. And so we can't help that when we get them to college, but we need to spend some time and work on that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And you can't correct it all in one semester.
No.
Stanley Fish often says that these courses should teach grammar and rhetoric and nothing else. Well, I knew the grammar part by the time I was in sixth grade because I just went to schools back then 150 years ago where they taught that, in the 50s. And the grammar part, I had that down by the time I got to high school. The rhetoric, that took a long time, decades as a writer to really to learn that, and I'm still learning.
All right. Well, thanks for enlightening us on this.
Okay, well, it's we could have hit a lot more things. We could go on for a half hour, but I don't think anybody's patience would hold up that long.
Well, we can do a part 2.
Okay.
Part 2 of podcast 2.
All right, there you go.
All right, you want to sign off?
Yes, and this is I'm Steve Combs, and this is the News Guardian Report.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Well, that was a little rough.